If you're over 60 and waking up 3, 4, even 5 times a night just to use the bathroom, you need to hear this. Because what I'm about to tell you could mean the difference between years of restless nights and finally sleeping straight through until morning. Most men believe their prostate just gets bigger with age and there's nothing they can do, but that's not the full story. There are 5 specific foods, backed by science, that can calm inflammation, shrink swelling, and give you your life back. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience treating prostate problems in men your age. I've worked with veterans, teachers, truck drivers, and grandfathers who thought medication was their only option, until they learned how simple changes in diet could transform their health. Here's the surprising part. Your prostate isn't just reacting to age, it's reacting to what you eat every single day. The wrong foods quietly irritate and inflame it, making your symptoms worse. But when you start eating the right ones, something remarkable happens. You regain control. You stop living by the bathroom clock. And in many cases, you start feeling decades younger. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the 5 foods I recommend most often to my patients. Foods you can find in any grocery store. Eaten the right way, they work together to protect and restore your prostate naturally. And wait until you hear about food number 3. Most men toss it aside without realizing it could be the most powerful natural protector their prostate will ever have. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another prostate health tip designed specifically for men over 60. And if you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to make the next one even better for you. Now, let's get straight into the first food on our list. One you've probably eaten your whole life but never realized could be a powerful ally for your prostate. When prepared the right way, it can help cool inflammation, reduce swelling, and bring you lasting relief. 1. Tomatoes, the heat-activated healer. When I think of tomatoes, I don't just see them as part of a salad or a splash of color on your plate. I see them as one of the most underestimated medical tools nature ever gave us, especially for men over 60 dealing with the frustration of an enlarged prostate. I've treated men who have tried everything, supplements, prescriptions, endless bathroom schedules, only to find that relief started with something they'd walked past in the grocery store 1,000 times. Here's the thing about tomatoes. Their real magic doesn't happen until they're cooked. You've probably heard of lycopene, that deep red antioxidant that gives tomatoes their vibrant color. What most people don't know is that lycopene is locked away inside the tomato's cell walls, and your body can't easily get to it when the tomato is raw. But when you heat tomatoes, whether you're simmering them into a sauce, roasting them with olive oil, or making a hearty tomato soup, you're unlocking that lycopene and making it available to work inside your body. And that's where the magic begins. In the prostate, lycopene acts like a cooling balm against chronic inflammation. Think of your prostate like a sponge. It's surrounded by blood vessels, nerves, and muscle. When it's irritated, it swells and presses on your bladder, making you feel like you have to go every hour. Over time, this inflammation can cause lasting changes in the tissue, but lycopene helps slow that process. It reduces oxidative stress, which is basically your cells rusting from the inside out. For older men, that's a game changer. I'll never forget Henry, a 69-year-old retired construction worker who came to see me with a look of pure exhaustion. He told me he hadn't slept more than 2 hours straight in years because of constant trips to the bathroom. We talked about diet, and I discovered that while he loved tomatoes, he only ate them raw, usually sliced on a sandwich. I explained the difference cooking could make and gave him a plan. Tomato-based soups twice a week, roasted cherry tomatoes with olive oil on weekends, and a marinara sauce made from canned crushed tomatoes at least once a week. At first, he was skeptical. How could something so simple do what his medications hadn't? But after 6 weeks, he walked into my office with a big smile. "Doc, I slept 6 hours straight last night, first time in years." It wasn't a miracle. It was science, patience, and giving his body the right fuel to heal. Now, I'm not saying tomatoes are a magic cure, but I am saying that consistent intake of cooked tomatoes, combined with other prostate-friendly habits, can make a meaningful difference. Studies have shown that men with higher blood levels of lycopene tend to have smaller prostate volumes and fewer symptoms. And because lycopene is fat-soluble, pairing tomatoes with a healthy fat, like olive oil, makes it even more effective. It's also worth noting that tomatoes bring more to the table than just lycopene. They're a rich source of vitamin C, potassium, and folate, all of which play supportive roles in keeping your urinary system and overall health in good shape. The beauty is that they're versatile, affordable, and widely available. Whether you grow them in your backyard or buy them canned from the store, they're accessible to every man watching this. If you've been waking up tired, feeling that constant urgency, or noticing a weaker flow, I want you to think about the foods you eat daily. Ask yourself if your diet is giving your prostate a chance to calm down, or if it's keeping it in a constant state of irritation. Adding cooked tomatoes might seem small, but small changes often lead to the biggest breakthroughs. And here's the thing. Tomatoes are just the beginning. Because while they work wonders for cooling inflammation, the next food I'm about to share doesn't just soothe your prostate, it rebuilds a critical nutrient reserve that almost every man over 60 is running dangerously low on. Without it, your prostate can't function at its best, no matter how healthy the rest of your diet might be. 2. Pumpkin seeds. The zinc rescue. I've been practicing medicine long enough to know that sometimes the most powerful solutions come in the smallest packages. Pumpkin seeds are a perfect example of that. They're easy to overlook. Tiny, unassuming, tucked away in the bulk bins at the grocery store, or hidden inside a pumpkin you carve for Halloween. But inside those little shells is something your prostate depends on more than most men realize: zinc. Now, zinc isn't just another mineral you read about on the back of a multivitamin label. In men, the prostate contains more zinc than almost any other organ in the body, and that's no accident. Zinc is involved in cell repair, hormone balance, and the regulation of inflammation, all critical for keeping the prostate from swelling and pressing on your bladder. The trouble is, as we age, our zinc levels tend to drop. This decline doesn't just happen because of diet, it's also due to changes in absorption and hormonal shifts that come with getting older. By the time many men hit their 60s, they're running at a zinc deficit without even knowing it. I remember one patient in particular, Walter, a 71-year-old retired mail carrier. He was fit, walked every day, but still dealt with the constant annoyance of having to plan his life around bathroom breaks. We ran some blood work, and while it wasn't glaringly obvious, his zinc levels were lower than I like to see in men with prostate issues. I told him about pumpkin seeds and how they're one of the richest natural sources of this mineral. At first, he laughed. He'd never even thought of eating them unless they were covered in salt and roasted for snacks at a ball game. So we made a deal. For 6 weeks, he'd add a small handful, about an ounce, of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds to his daily routine. He could sprinkle them on oatmeal, mix them into yogurt, or just eat them straight. By the 3rd week, he told me his urgency had eased. By the 6th, he said he could sit through an entire movie at the theater without having to leave halfway through. That may sound small, but for a man living with prostate trouble, that's freedom. Pumpkin seeds also offer more than just zinc. They're packed with healthy fats, magnesium, and plant compounds called phytosterols, which help naturally reduce the size of the prostate. These nutrients work together, supporting the tissue, improving circulation, and calming inflammation from the inside out. The beauty of this food is that it's accessible, affordable, and versatile. You don't need a fancy recipe or a special supplement. Of course, it's not just about adding pumpkin seeds. It's also about consistency. The body doesn't rebuild nutrient reserves overnight, but over weeks and months, that steady supply of zinc can help restore balance and function in ways you can feel. And when your prostate starts to settle down, you notice it, not just in fewer bathroom trips, but in better sleep, improved comfort, and more confidence to live your life without constant interruptions. One important thing to remember: the quality of the seeds matters. Raw, fresh pumpkin seeds retain their nutrients best. If you buy them pre-packaged, check the expiration date and avoid heavily salted or flavored versions that can counteract the benefits with excess sodium or additives. And if you can get them freshly hulled from a local store or farmer's market, even better. It still amazes me how often men overlook the simple things. They'll spend hundreds on complicated supplements or endure invasive procedures, yet skip over foods that could quietly start turning things around in just a matter of weeks. And speaking of overlooked, the next food on our list might just be the most ignored of them all. In fact, most men toss it aside without realizing that inside its jewel-like seeds lies one of the most potent natural protectors their prostate will ever encounter. This one doesn't just defend, it can actively slow down the very processes that make your prostate enlarge in the first place. 3. Pomegranate, the overlooked prostate protector. When most people think of pomegranate, they picture a decorative holiday fruit or a splash of color in a fancy salad. But to me, as a doctor, I see it as one of the most underrated allies for men's health, especially prostate health. The truth is, most men walk right past it in the produce aisle, either because they don't know what to do with it or they think it's too much trouble to eat. And that's a shame, because inside every ruby red aril is a pharmacy's worth of natural protection. Pomegranate is loaded with polyphenols, powerful plant antioxidants that work like a security team for your cells. These compounds don't just protect healthy prostate tissue, they also slow down the processes that allow inflammation and oxidative stress to damage the gland in the first place. Chronic inflammation is one of the key drivers of benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, and pomegranate has been shown in multiple studies to help reduce inflammatory markers in men. In some research, regular pomegranate juice consumption was linked to a slower rise in PSA levels, a sign that it may be helping to keep the prostate from progressing toward more serious problems. One of my patients, Gerald, a 74-year-old retired Navy officer, had been dealing with gradual PSA increases for years. He was healthy overall, but his numbers concerned him. I suggested adding pure pomegranate juice to his routine, just a small glass 3 times a week. He thought I was joking. That's it? No special pill, no complicated diet change? But he agreed to try. 3 months later, his PSA hadn't just stabilized, it had dropped slightly. And while I can't say pomegranate alone caused that change, it became a part of his lifestyle he swore by. He even started eating the seeds straight from the fruit, saying it felt good to eat something that looked like it came from nature's treasure chest. The beauty of pomegranate is that it works in several ways. The antioxidants neutralize free radicals, which are unstable molecules that damage cells and accelerate aging. The anti-inflammatory properties calm the constant irritation inside the prostate, and the natural compounds in the juice can improve blood flow, which supports overall pelvic health. This is especially important because better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients reach the tissues, helping them repair and function properly. The challenge for many men is figuring out how to eat it. The seeds can be scooped out and eaten fresh, sprinkled over oatmeal or yogurt, or blended into a smoothie. You can also drink pure, unsweetened pomegranate juice, but make sure it's 100% juice with no added sugar or artificial ingredients. A small serving is all you need. More isn't necessarily better, and pomegranate is naturally sweet, so moderation keeps your blood sugar steady. The other reason I love recommending pomegranate is because it feels like a food with purpose. It's not something you mindlessly snack on. You prepare it, you notice it, you savor it. That mindfulness, combined with the physical benefits, can make it a powerful part of your routine. Still, I understand why many men skip it. It takes effort to crack open the fruit and separate the seeds. But sometimes, taking a little extra time for your health sends a message to yourself, I'm worth this. And I can tell you, your prostate is worth it too. Now, while pomegranate offers an impressive defense against inflammation and oxidative stress, the next food we're going to talk about works in a completely different way. It doesn't just protect your prostate, it actually changes the way your bladder and prostate interact, helping to calm urgency and improve flow. And it does all of this in one of the most soothing, natural forms you can drink. 4. Green tea. Calm for your prostate and bladder. For many men, tea is just something you drink when you're sick or maybe on a cold winter morning. But green tea is different. It's not just a drink, it's a quiet medicine chest in a cup. And when it comes to your prostate, it has a calming influence that few other beverages can match. Over the years, I've seen countless patients find relief from symptoms they thought were simply part of getting older after making one small change, swapping at least one daily cup of coffee for green tea. The secret lies in its catechins, powerful plant compounds that do more than just fight inflammation. These catechins seem to have a balancing effect on the smooth muscles that surround the bladder neck and the prostate. When those muscles are tight and irritated, you feel urgency, frequency, and a weak stream. But when they're relaxed, your bladder can empty more completely and you feel more in control. I think of John, a 66-year-old retired school principal who came to me frustrated and worn down. His morning started with 3 cups of strong coffee, and by midday, he felt like he was chasing the bathroom. I suggested he replace his second cup with freshly brewed green tea, not bottled tea from the store, but loose leaves or quality tea bags steeped for just the right amount of time. He wasn't thrilled about it at first. Coffee had been his morning ritual for decades, but within 2 weeks, he called my office to say he hadn't realized how much his bladder had been irritated by caffeine until it stopped. He was getting through meetings and errands without that constant pressure. Green tea works on multiple levels. Its antioxidants reduce oxidative stress in prostate tissue, which helps slow down the chronic irritation that leads to swelling. It also contains compounds that support healthy hormone balance, another important factor in prostate health. And because it has less caffeine than coffee, it's gentler on the bladder while still giving you a gentle lift in energy. Preparation matters. Oversteeping can make the tea bitter, and adding too much sugar can undo its benefits. I tell my patients to steep for about 3 minutes, add a squeeze of lemon to enhance antioxidant absorption, and enjoy it warm. Some like to make it a mid-morning habit, others prefer it in the afternoon to replace that extra coffee that keeps them running to the bathroom. One interesting thing I've noticed is that green tea often brings a sense of ritual back into a man's day. Taking a moment to prepare it, to sit down, to sip slowly, it's a small act of self-care. And when that self-care comes with measurable benefits for your prostate and bladder, it's even more rewarding. Of course, no single food or drink is a silver bullet. Green tea works best when it's part of a bigger picture, a lifestyle that reduces inflammation, supports healthy circulation, and provides the nutrients your prostate needs to function at its best. But as simple changes go, it's one of the most effective and easiest to start. If you've been feeling frustrated by frequent trips to the bathroom, weak flow, or that ever-present sense of urgency, I encourage you to give this a try. It's inexpensive, widely available, and in most cases, you'll know within a few weeks whether it's making a difference. Now, while green tea helps to relax and protect your prostate, the next food we're going to cover attacks one of the biggest hidden drivers of prostate problems, chronic inflammation, at its very source. And it comes from the sea, carrying a type of healthy fat that can do more for your prostate than you've ever imagined. 5. Salmon, anti-inflammation from the inside out. When I talk about fighting prostate problems, most men immediately think about pills, procedures, or special supplements. But what they often forget is that your prostate isn't an isolated organ. It's deeply affected by what's happening throughout your entire body, and one of the most powerful ways to influence it starts with reducing inflammation. This is where salmon comes in. It's not just a tasty dinner option, it's a nutrient-rich powerhouse loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which are like nature's fire extinguishers for your cells. Inflammation is tricky. It's invisible. It doesn't hurt at first, but it quietly damages tissues over time. In the prostate, that damage shows up as swelling, increased pressure on the bladder, and changes in urinary flow. The omega-3s in salmon have been shown to lower inflammatory markers in the blood, which can translate to less irritation inside the prostate itself. That means more comfort, fewer interruptions at night, and a better quality of life. I think back to Howard, a 70-year-old retired mechanic who came to see me after years of struggling with constant urgency. He tried medication, but the side effects left him feeling sluggish. When I asked about his diet, he admitted he hadn't eaten fish in decades. He just didn't like the fishy taste. We worked together to find recipes he could enjoy. Grilled salmon with lemon and herbs, salmon baked with garlic and dill, even poached salmon over a bed of fresh greens. It took a bit of experimenting, but within 2 months, he noticed his trips to the bathroom had decreased. His wife told me she could see the change in his energy and mood. The beauty of salmon isn't just the omega-3s. It's also rich in vitamin D, protein, and selenium, nutrients that support immune health, tissue repair, and hormone balance, all of which play a role in prostate function. And because omega-3s work throughout the entire body, you're not just helping your prostate. You're supporting your heart, your brain, and your joints at the same time. Fresh, wild-caught salmon is ideal, but I understand it's not always available or affordable. Quality frozen salmon is still an excellent choice, and canned salmon can be a good option if you choose one packed in water and without unnecessary additives. The key is to prepare it in a way that preserves its benefits. Avoid deep frying or heavy breading, which can add unhealthy fats and cancel out the good you're trying to do. Instead, stick with grilling, baking, broiling, or poaching. Pair it with vegetables rich in antioxidants, like spinach, broccoli, or roasted peppers, for a double boost to your anti-inflammatory efforts. What's fascinating is that when you consistently get enough omega-3s, it doesn't just help reduce inflammation, it can actually change the way your body responds to future irritants. In other words, you're not just calming your prostate now, you're making it more resilient for the years ahead. That's something no quick-fix solution can offer. Of course, diet is never about a single food. Salmon works best when it's part of a broader, prostate-friendly eating plan, one that includes the other foods we've talked about and limits the ones that make inflammation worse. But if you're looking for one protein source that delivers more than just muscle-building power, salmon is hard to beat. And that brings us to an equally important point. Just as the right foods can help your prostate, the wrong ones can undo your progress. In fact, there are certain everyday foods that silently sabotage all the good work you're doing, keeping your prostate irritated and your symptoms stuck exactly where they are. Let's talk about the ones you should avoid if you're serious about seeing results. 6. Foods that sabotage your prostate. It's easy to focus on what you should be eating when trying to improve your prostate health, but I found that just as important, sometimes even more important, is knowing what to cut back on. Over the years, I've seen many men make big changes by adding prostate-friendly foods to their diet, only to see those benefits disappear because they continued eating things that quietly inflamed and irritated their gland day after day. The truth is, your prostate is sensitive. Feed it the wrong things consistently, and it will respond with swelling, pressure, and the symptoms you're trying to escape. Take Richard, for example, a 67-year-old retired truck driver. He was doing nearly everything right: more vegetables, more lean protein, daily walking. But his urgency and nighttime trips weren't improving. It wasn't until we reviewed his diet in detail that I saw the problem. His afternoons were filled with processed deli meats and salty snacks, and he washed them down with 2 or 3 cans of sugary soda. To him, they were harmless habits, things he'd enjoyed for decades without giving them much thought, but for his prostate, they were like gasoline on a fire. Processed meats are one of the biggest offenders. They're loaded with preservatives, sodium, and compounds that increase inflammation. The salt alone can cause your body to retain more fluid, putting additional pressure on your bladder and making those nighttime bathroom trips worse. Then there's the hormonal angle. Some processed meats contain additives that can interfere with your body's delicate hormone balance, further aggravating the prostate. Excess dairy can be another hidden culprit. While dairy isn't inherently bad for everyone, in some men it seems to trigger hormonal shifts or low-grade inflammation that worsens symptoms. I've had patients who saw improvement simply by cutting back from multiple servings of milk, cheese, or cream each day to just a few servings per week. Sugary drinks, whether it's soda, sweetened tea, or those energy beverages, create a blood sugar spike that can lead to inflammation throughout the body. For the prostate, that means more irritation, more swelling, and more discomfort. Combine that with caffeine in many of these drinks, and you have a recipe for constant bladder stimulation. Even foods you might not suspect can be a problem if you eat too much of them. Highly salty snacks, like chips or pretzels, may seem innocent enough, but they work against you in 2 ways. They make you thirsty, which leads to more fluid intake, and they contribute to fluid retention. Both mean more pressure on your urinary system. When I talk to patients about removing these irritants, I'm not asking them to be perfect. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and having an occasional treat is fine. What matters is cutting the frequency in half or more so your prostate has a chance to settle down and respond to the positive changes you're making elsewhere in your diet. What often surprises men is how quickly they notice a difference once they scale back. I've seen symptoms improve in as little as 2 weeks after reducing these problem foods. That's because your body is constantly repairing itself, and when you stop feeding the inflammation, healing can happen faster than you think. It's a humbling reminder that sometimes the fastest path to feeling better isn't adding something new, it's removing what's hurting you. Once you take out the irritants, the nourishing foods you've added finally have room to work their magic. And speaking of giving your body the best chance to heal, there's one more piece of the puzzle we haven't talked about yet. It has nothing to do with what's on your plate and everything to do with how you live your daily life. The habits you practice, intentionally or not, can either speed up your progress or keep you stuck exactly where you are. 7. Lifestyle habits that boost your results. When I sit across from a patient, we can spend an hour talking about food, supplements, and test results. But there's always a point where I lean forward and say, "Now let's talk about what you do when you're not eating." Because as powerful as nutrition is, your daily habits can either multiply those benefits or quietly erase them. Your prostate doesn't live in isolation. It responds to the way you move, the way you rest, the way you manage stress, and even the way you drink water. I think of Thomas, a 73-year-old retired pilot who came to me feeling discouraged. He had improved his diet dramatically, yet he still woke up 3 times a night and felt constant pressure during the day. It wasn't until I asked him to walk me through his routine that I saw the missing piece. He was drinking a tall glass of water right before bed because he'd read somewhere that hydration is key for health. While that's true, the timing was sabotaging his nights. We made one small change, front-loading his hydration earlier in the day and tapering off in the evening, and within a week, he was sleeping longer stretches. That's the power of adjusting habits. Movement is another cornerstone. Gentle, consistent activity, like walking, increases blood flow to the pelvic area, delivering oxygen and nutrients to the prostate. It also helps keep your weight in check, and excess abdominal fat is strongly linked to hormonal imbalances that worsen prostate symptoms. I've seen men cut their bathroom trips in half just by committing to a 20-minute walk every day. Then there's muscle support. Most men don't realize they can strengthen the muscles that help control urination through simple pelvic floor exercises. Learning to engage and relax these muscles improves bladder control, reduces urgency, and even supports better sexual function. It doesn't take a gym membership, just a bit of consistency. Stress management also plays a bigger role than many expect. Chronic stress raises levels of certain hormones and inflammatory chemicals that can inflame the prostate. I've encouraged patients to experiment with deep breathing, light stretching, or even 5 minutes of quiet meditation. These small practices don't just help the mind, they can have a tangible effect on physical symptoms. And finally, there's rest. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you tired, it disrupts hormone balance, weakens your immune system, and makes it harder for your body to repair itself. Quality sleep gives your prostate the downtime it needs to recover. That means creating a routine that signals to your body it's time to rest. Dimmed lights, no screens for at least 30 minutes before bed, and keeping the bedroom cool and quiet. When you combine these habits with the right foods, the results can be transformative. I've seen men go from planning every outing around bathroom access to confidently enjoying long walks, social events, even travel without constant worry. The key is not perfection, it's consistency. Each positive choice builds on the last, creating momentum your body can feel. And this brings us to the most important point of all. Because while food and habits can dramatically change the way your prostate feels and functions, they're part of a bigger picture, one that could mean the difference between simply managing symptoms and truly reclaiming your freedom. In the conclusion, I'll share how all of this fits together and why the changes you make today could shape the rest of your life. Closing doctor's advice. Gentlemen, after decades of working with men just like you, I can tell you this. Prostate problems don't appear overnight, and they don't disappear overnight. They're the result of years of small choices, both good and bad, adding up over time. That means the power to change your future lies in the small choices you make starting today. We've talked about 5 powerful foods: tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, pomegranate, green tea, and salmon that can help reduce inflammation, restore vital nutrients, and support healthy prostate function. We've also uncovered the foods that quietly work against you and the daily habits that give your body the best chance to heal. It's not about perfection. It's about creating an environment inside your body where your prostate can thrive instead of struggle. I've seen men in their 60s who were convinced they'd be chained to the bathroom for the rest of their lives, only to regain control, sleep through the night, and enjoy the freedom they thought they'd lost forever. It wasn't magic. It was a commitment to small, consistent changes. If you start today, adding the right foods, avoiding the wrong ones, moving your body, managing your stress, you might be surprised how much better you feel in a matter of weeks. Your prostate isn't your enemy. It's part of you, asking for the care it deserves. Give it that care, and it will reward you with comfort, confidence, and quality of life you can feel every single day. Now, I have one more powerful lesson for you. The 3 common drinks most men over 60 consume every day that could be making their prostate worse. And you might be drinking one of them right now.